applicable to all of you guys in here who are coaches. So we're just gonna go ahead and answer this one as well from Hallie. And she says, when you guys are working with a client for say 8 to 12 weeks in length, how do you direct them from there with their nutrition so it's applicable long term? I'm curious to hear the different ways you fitness coaches go about this and would love to hear your answers. So, Hallie, what I think you're getting at here is nutritional periodization. For those of you who may recognize this word periodization, training periodization, right? We all periodize our training. But what essentially does that mean? This is what it means, is that if we take this line and we create a macro cycle of training, okay, which is a macro cycle, like you guys are aware of, consists of 12 months, okay? Now there's a lot of things that can happen within this 12-month time period. It could even go longer than this, okay? But if we're talking about periodization, we're talking about this 12-month block being the macro cycle, the big picture cycle, okay? That's the macro cycle, is 12 months. Now, if we take this and we break it down into 4 quadrants, okay, so we have quadrant 1, which is quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. Now, all of these different quadrants here, so this 1, 2, 3, 4, these are each mesocycles, M-E-S-O. These are all mesocycles, and different mesocycles are within the macro cycle, okay? Now, you also have microcycles, which live inside the mesocycle. So as an example, we'd have this would basically equate to mesocycle, okay? Now within the meso, we have all these little microcycles, okay? And the really cool thing is that you can actually program nutrition the same way that we program training. Think about this. So, if we have these being mesocycles, how can we program nutrition to make sure that we can constantly adjust and change variables to get them to their end goal? If their end goal here is the fact that they want to actually lose body fat and build muscle, if they come to you and say, I want to lose body fat and build muscle, okay? That's the main focus. So if that's the main focus, then whatever we do has to get us to this point, all right? So as an example, if we wanted to focus on here, if their metabolism was sacrificed when they start with you, then obviously throughout this first maybe 3-month quarter, you would basically reverse diet them, okay? You could get their calories by, 2 to 3 months, you basically found like a really nice homeostatic point, and you're allowing this client to thrive and survive, right? They're actually able to build muscle. They feel better about themselves. Hormonally, all of the negative stuff that happened before they started with you is really reversing, and now they're really starting to feel amazing. We're done with this first quarter, okay? Because we helped them do that. Moving into the next quarter, we can reevaluate and say, all right, where do we really feel like we're at? Do we want to commit again to another phase of continuing to focus on building muscle? Or are we in a position where we can actually do maybe a mini cut and maybe get off maybe 5 pounds or so to see how much muscle mass is actually there? That decision is completely and utterly up to you. What I would most likely do with somebody like this, if they, let's just say for instance, if they were somebody who had a sacrificed metabolism, they had never really had the opportunity to build muscle, and let's just say that they were really thriving and they felt amazing during this time, I would then stretch that out and probably allow them to stay in this new homeostatic point for at least 6 months. Now here's the cool thing, is that this quadrant here, we can decide, all right, do we want to start fat loss or do we want to rock and roll and keep building muscle? If you can get this client really gung-ho in regards to strength training and actually building muscle and feeling empowered and feeling strong, you could probably stretch this phase out for maybe, could be 8 months, okay? Now, what does this leave us for 4 months left? That leaves us with a fat loss phase. So if this client came to you and they're like, I want to lose body fat, I want to build muscle, think about it long term, okay? The problem is that a lot of people live their lives a mesocycle at a time, and they don't have a plan of action long term, okay? So what I would do is I'd say 8 months building muscle. We'll talk about what's realistic for building muscle in a separate video, but I'd probably go like 8 months trying to build muscle, and then 4 months really allowing them to get as lean as they want to get, and then creating a plan of action on what you're going to do on the back end of this. So while you can help them build muscle, you can help them optimize their health and metabolism, teach them about food and all of these amazing things that make you an amazing coach. We take the last 4 months and we focus on getting them as lean as possible with all of this new muscle mass that they accumulated over the last 8 months. We get them there, and then we can actually start to reverse or recovery diet them, teaching them how to keep the weight off. So this is how you could program for an entire year in working with a client. Now, keep in mind that it doesn't have to look like this, okay? It really doesn't have to look like this at all. It could be a multitude of things. But what I want you to consider is the fact that many people, especially our clients, they live their lives one mesocycle at a time because all of the trainers that they've worked with have only worked in 12-week blocks or 1-month blocks or 30-day challenges, 8-week challenges, 12-week challenges, 12-week competition preps. Every trainer they've ever had has already programmed their brain to think that everything is 12 weeks. Well, everything's not 12 weeks. Everything is about life. Everything is about you having the opportunity to actually create a very crystal clear vision of where your client can be at the end of the year. And guess what that means for you guys? If you have a client for an entire year, tell me how much you can teach them. Tell me how much you can change their body. Tell me how much you can transform their mind from where they were to where they are now. You can do so many more things when working with a client for a longer duration of time, and not to mention, obviously, if they're working with you for an entire year, financially, you're going to be in a much better position because you have all of these clients who are thoroughly committed to you for an entire year, and they're not just buying in to, let's say, a 8-week thing or a 30-day thing. So, food for thought, guys. Program for the long term. I believe the longest client that I've worked with has been off and on for probably about like 4 or 5 years now. And a lot of the time, our average client stays with Metabolic Evolution for probably about 8 or 9 months, just as a reference. So thank you guys so much for checking out this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.